Amara couldn't move. Not because she didn't want to, though the silk sheets wrapped around her bare legs felt like heaven, but because her entire body had staged a rebellion. Her muscles ached in places she didn't even know could ache. Her hair was a disaster, tangled across the pillow like she'd been through a storm. And when she tried to sit up, every single nerve ending screamed in delicious protest. "Oh God," she whispered, falling back against the pillows. From across the room, she heard the unmistakable sound of a low male chuckle. Damian Cole, her boss, her tormentor, the man who had sworn he'd fire her within a week, emerged from the ensuite bathroom. He wore nothing but low-slung black pajama pants, water droplets still clinging to his chest and shoulders. His dark skin gleamed in the morning light streaming through the floor-to-ceiling windows of his penthouse. And he was smirking, that infuriating, devastating smirk that had driven her crazy for 3 months. "Miss Okafor, you okay?" he asked, his deep voice laced with satisfaction. Amara glared at him, though the effect was probably ruined by her current state of complete dishevelment. "I hate you. That's not what you said last night." He moved closer to the bed, sitting on the edge. His hand reached out, fingers trailing down her shoulder with deliberate slowness. "In fact, if I remember correctly, and I remember everything, you said my name quite differently." Heat flooded her face. "You're impossible. And you," he leaned down, his lips brushing her ear, "are still in my bed. Which means last night wasn't a fluke. Which means you finally stopped fighting what's been between us since the day you walked into my office." Amara's breath caught. Because he was right. God help her, he was absolutely right. "I can't feel my legs," she admitted, voice small. Damian's smirk widened into a full smile, rare and devastating. "Good. That means you'll remember this the next time you think about challenging me in a board meeting. You're arrogant. And you love it." His hand slid beneath the sheets, resting possessively on her hip. "Stay. I'll make breakfast. You cook?" Amara asked, surprised. "I'm a man of many talents, Miss Okafor. You discovered several of them last night." He stood, but not before pressing a kiss to her forehead, surprisingly tender. "And you'll discover more if you stop trying to run away from me." As he walked toward the kitchen, Amara stared at the ceiling, her mind reeling. How had she gotten here? How had 3 months of antagonism, challenges, and impossible deadlines led to this? Welcome back to African Love Chronicles, your favorite place for stories soaked in passion and soul-deep romance. If you're new here, don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop a comment to tell us your favorite part of the story. Your support keeps these love tales flowing strong. Thanks for always supporting us. Now, grab your popcorn and let's dive in. Amara stood in front of the towering glass building, her portfolio clutched in sweaty hands, trying to calm her racing heart. Cole Enterprises, the most prestigious marketing firm in Lagos. Getting hired here was supposed to be impossible. Yet somehow, her application had been accepted. Her interview had gone well. And now, at 25, she was about to start her dream job. She took a deep breath and walked through the revolving doors. The lobby was all modern elegance. Marble floors, contemporary art, and impossibly beautiful people moving with purpose. Amara checked in at reception and was directed to the 15th floor. "Mr. Cole will see you in his office," the receptionist said with a sympathetic smile that Amara didn't understand. Yet, the elevator ride felt eternal. When the doors finally opened, Amara stepped into a hallway that screamed power and money. At the end, massive double doors stood partially open. She knocked softly. "Come in." The voice was deep, commanding, and sent an unexpected shiver down her spine. Amara pushed the doors open and stepped inside. The office was enormous. Windows overlooking the entire city, sleek furniture, and behind a massive desk sat the most intimidating man she'd ever seen. Damian Cole. She'd seen pictures, of course. Everyone in the industry knew who he was. 32 years old. Self-made billionaire. Known as the Ice King, because he'd fired more employees than any other CEO in the city. Rumor had it no one lasted more than a month under his leadership. But pictures didn't do him justice. He was overwhelming. Tall even while seated, with broad shoulders that filled out his charcoal suit perfectly. Dark brown skin, sharp cheekbones, and eyes that seemed to see straight through her. His jaw was strong, his lips curved in what might have been a smile if it had reached his eyes. It didn't. "Miss Okafor." He didn't stand. Didn't offer his hand. Just studied her with an intensity that made her want to fidget. "Sit." It wasn't a request. Amara sat, keeping her spine straight, refusing to be intimidated. Thank you for this opportunity, Mr. Cole. I'm excited to. Let me stop you there. He leaned back in his chair, fingers steepled beneath his chin. You're here because HR made a mistake. I don't hire people fresh out of university with no real-world experience and portfolios full of theoretical campaigns that have never been tested. Amara's stomach dropped. I was told. You were told wrong. His voice was matter-of-fact, no emotion. However, since the paperwork has already been processed and I don't have time to deal with HR's incompetence today, I'll give you 1 week. 1 week. To prove you're not a waste of my time and money. He pulled out a thick file and slid it across the desk. This is the Adelic account. They're launching a new luxury real estate development and need a complete marketing strategy. You have 7 days to present something that doesn't make me regret keeping you. Amara's hands shook slightly as she took the file, but she forced her voice to remain steady. And if I succeed? For the first time, his lips curved into something that resembled a smile. But it wasn't warm. It was challenging, almost predatory. Then I'll give you another impossible task. And another. Until you either quit or prove you actually belong here. He turned his attention to his computer, dismissing her. Your desk is outside. Get to work. Amara stood on trembling legs, clutching the file. Mr. Cole, he didn't look up. What? I don't quit. She met his eyes, her own blazing with determination she didn't entirely feel. And 7 days is more than enough time. That made him pause. His gaze snapped to hers, something flickering in those cold eyes. Interest? Amusement? She couldn't tell. We'll see, Miss Okafor. He returned to his screen. Close the door on your way out. Amara's desk was in the outer office, directly in front of his door. A strategic placement, she realized. He could watch her constantly. Her new colleague, Tund, appeared within minutes. So you met the Ice King, he said sympathetically. How long did he give you? A week. Tund whistled low. That's actually generous. He gave me 3 days. I lasted 2 weeks before he fired me. Then he hired me back a month later for a different position. He shrugged. Nobody understands how his mind works. Just don't take it personally when he destroys your first presentation. He does it to everyone. He's really that bad? Worse. Tund glanced toward the closed office door. But he's also brilliant. If you can survive him, you'll learn more in 3 months than you would in 3 years anywhere else. He grinned. That is, if you survive. Amara had barely slept in 3 days. The Adelic account was massive. Luxury real estate targeting Nigeria's elite. She'd researched everything. Market trends, competitor campaigns, demographic data, social media analytics. Her presentation was good. She knew it was good. But would it be good enough for Damian Cole? She was about to find out. Mr. Cole? She knocked on his door at exactly 4 p.m., as instructed. Enter. He sat behind his desk, looking as composed as ever. No coffee. No notes. Just him and that penetrating stare. Amara connected her laptop to the screen and began her presentation. She'd crafted a campaign called Legacy Living, targeting successful Nigerians who wanted to invest in properties that would become family heirlooms. The imagery was emotional but elegant. The copy was sophisticated but accessible. The social media strategy was innovative, using influencer partnerships and virtual tours. She spoke for 15 minutes, her voice gaining confidence as she went. When she finished, she looked at Damian, trying to read his expression. Impossible. He was a statue. Sit down, Miss Okafor. She sat, heart pounding. Damian stood, moving to the screen. For a long moment, he said nothing, just studied her work with those analytical eyes. This is. He paused, and Amara braced for the worst. Acceptable. Acceptable? That was good? Bad? She couldn't tell. The concept is sound, he continued, turning to face her. The execution needs work, but the foundation is there. You understand the market. You understand the client. That's more than most people who've sat in that chair. Relief flooded through her. Thank you, Don't thank me yet. He returned to his desk, pulling out another file. You passed the test. Now comes the real work. This is the Okonkwo account. They're launching a tech startup and need everything. Branding, website design, social media presence, launch event. You have 2 weeks. Amara took the file, her hands steadier this time. I'll have it done in 10 days. Damian's eyebrow raised. Confident. Capable, she corrected. For the first time, she saw his lips twitch with something that might have been respect. Or amusement. Perhaps both. We'll see, Miss Okafor. Dismissed. As she turned to leave, his voice stopped her. And Amara? She froze. He'd never used her first name before. Yes. Good work today. Keep it up. It was the closest thing to a compliment she'd ever heard him give. And despite herself, despite everything, warmth spread through her chest. Maybe, just maybe, she could survive Damian Cole after all. Amara quickly learned that surviving Damian Cole meant sacrificing sleep, social life, and sanity. Every project was urgent. Every deadline was impossible. Every presentation had to be perfect. But she didn't quit. And slowly, grudgingly, she earned his respect. Miss Okafor, stay late tonight. We need to revise the Okonkwo pitch before tomorrow's meeting. It became their routine. Most of the office cleared out by 6 p.m., but Amara and Damian would work until midnight, sometimes later. Just the two of them in his massive office, surrounded by strategy documents and empty coffee cups. That's when Amara began to see past the Ice King facade. Why did you become so ruthless? She asked one night around 10 p.m. They'd been working for 5 hours straight, and exhaustion had loosened her filter. Damian looked up from his laptop, surprised by the personal question. For a moment, she thought he'd shut her down. Instead, he leaned back in his chair. You want the truth or the PR version? Truth. He studied her for a long moment. I built this company from nothing. I was 22, broke, and angry at a world that told me I'd never succeed because of where I came from. I proved them wrong. But in the process, I learned that people are lazy. They want success without sacrifice. They want rewards without risk. His voice hardened. So I became ruthless. I demand excellence because I refuse to let mediocrity destroy what I built. And the people you fire? Mostly quit before I can fire them. The pressure breaks them. His eyes locked on hers. But you haven't broken yet. I won't. I know. Something shifted in his gaze, something that made Amara's breath catch. That's why you're still here. The moment stretched between them, charged with something Amara couldn't name. Didn't want to name. She looked away first. We should finish this presentation. Yes. But his voice was rougher than before. We should. The late nights became more frequent. More intense. Amara noticed things about Damian she'd never expected. The way he unconsciously loosened his tie when concentrating. How his jaw clenched when he was frustrated. The rare moments when he smiled, really smiled, at a clever idea. She also noticed the way he looked at her when he thought she wasn't paying attention. Like she was a puzzle he couldn't solve. A challenge he couldn't resist. You're staring, she said one night without looking up from her laptop. You're worth staring at. The blunt honesty made her head snap up. Damian wasn't smiling. He was serious, his eyes dark with something that made her heart race. Mr. Cole. Damian. His voice was low. When it's just us, call me Damian. That's inappropriate. So is the way you look at me when you think I'm not watching. Amara's face burned. I don't. You do. He stood, moving around his desk with predatory grace. You've been doing it for weeks. The same way I've been watching you. Wondering what it would be like too. He stopped himself, jaw clenching. This is a bad idea. What is? This. He gestured between them. You work for me. It's inappropriate. Unprofessional. Every HR nightmare imaginable. Amara stood, refusing to be intimidated even though her heart was pounding. Then stop looking at me like that. I can't. The admission seemed torn from him. Believe me, I've tried. They stood there, 3 feet apart, the air between them crackling with tension that had been building for weeks. We should finish the presentation, Amara whispered, not moving. We should, Damian agreed, also not moving. Neither of them did. The moment hung suspended, trembling on the edge of something dangerous and inevitable. Then Damian's phone rang, shattering the spell. He answered it with a curse, his professional mask slamming back into place. Cole. Yes. I'll be there in 10 minutes. When he hung up, the moment was gone. But the awareness remained. Go home, Amara. Get some rest. We'll finish this tomorrow. She gathered her things, her hands trembling slightly. At the door, she paused. Damian. Yes. For what it's worth. I can't stop looking either. She left before he could respond, but she felt his eyes on her all the way to the elevator. The tension between them became unbearable. Every meeting was charged. Every casual touch, passing files, reaching for the same pen, felt electric. The entire office started noticing. So when are you and the boss finally going to admit what's happening? Tund asked during lunch. Nothing is happening, Amara insisted. Right. And that's why he watches you like you're the only person in the room. And why you can't focus in meetings when he's near. And why everyone is taking bets on when you two finally. Ton. He laughed. I'm just saying what everyone's thinking. The Ice King is melting. And you're the reason. It happened 3 days later. Amara was working late, again, when Damian stormed out of his office, fury radiating from every line of his body. The Henderson deal fell through, he snapped. 6 months of work. Gone. Because their CEO is an incompetent. He cut himself off, hands clenching. I need to hit something. There's a gym in the building, Amara offered. Come with me. It wasn't a question. The gym was empty at 10 p.m. Damian headed straight for the punching bag, not bothering to wrap his hands. You'll hurt yourself, Amara protested. He ignored her, landing blow after blow with controlled violence. Amara watched, mesmerized by the raw display of emotion from a man who usually showed none. His suit jacket was gone. His shirt sleeves were rolled up. Sweat darkened his collar. He was magnificent. Finally, he stopped, breathing hard, his knuckles red. Better? Amara asked softly. No. He turned to her, eyes blazing with something that had nothing to do with anger. You want to know what would make it better? Her breath caught. What? This. He closed the distance between them in 2 strides and kissed her. It wasn't gentle. It wasn't sweet. It was hunger and frustration, and weeks of suppressed desire finally unleashed. Amara gasped against his mouth, and he took advantage, deepening the kiss until she couldn't think, couldn't breathe, couldn't do anything but feel. Her back hit the wall. His hands gripped her waist. Her fingers tangled in his shirt, pulling him closer. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Damian rested his forehead against hers. This is a terrible idea, he muttered. The worst, Amara agreed. You work for me. I know. This could ruin both our careers. Probably. I should fire you. Right now. Before this goes any further. Amara pulled back to look at him. Then do it. Fire me. And this stops being complicated. His eyes darkened. If I fire you, you'll never work in this industry again. I won't do that to you. Then what do we do? I don't know. His thumb brushed across her swollen lips. But I do know I'm done pretending I don't want you. So am I. This stays between us. No one can know. Not yet. Agreed. And if it gets complicated, if it affects your work or your career, we stop. Immediately. Okay. Okay. He kissed her again, softer this time but no less devastating. Come home with me tonight. Amara's heart pounded. Are you sure? I've never been more sure of anything. His hand cupped her face. But only if you want this. Only if you're sure. She should say no. Should walk away. Should protect her career and her heart. Instead, she said, take me home, Damian. Amara sat in Damian's kitchen, wearing his shirt, because her clothes from last night were thoroughly ruined. Watching him cook breakfast with the same precision he applied to business deals. You're really cooking, she said, still amazed. I told you I had talents. He flipped an omelet with professional ease. My mother taught me. Said no man should be helpless in his own kitchen. Tell me about her. Damian paused, then continued cooking. She passed away 5 years ago. Cancer. She was everything. Raised me alone after my father left. Worked 3 jobs to put me through school. She's why I'm so ruthless about success, because she sacrificed everything to give me a chance. Amara's heart ached at the vulnerability in his voice. She'd be proud of you. Would she? He plated the omelet and set it in front of her. I'm not sure. I became the kind of man who makes people cry in meetings. Who fires employees without blinking. Who built an empire from nothing, Amara interrupted. Who changed an entire industry. Who gives people like me chances they'd never get elsewhere, then pushes them to be better than they ever thought possible. She stood, moving closer. Yes, you're demanding. But you're also fair. You don't play favorites. You reward merit. And everyone who survives working for you leaves better than they arrived. Damian looked at her like she'd said something profound. How do you do that? What? See past the monster everyone else sees. Because you're not a monster. You're just scared of being hurt again. She touched his face gently. Your mother left through death. That's different from being abandoned. But it still taught you that people you love can disappear. So you keep everyone at a distance. His hand covered hers. Until me, she agreed softly. He pulled her close, holding her like she might disappear. I don't know how to do this, Amara. The relationship thing. I haven't. There hasn't been anyone serious in years. We'll figure it out together. And if I mess it up? If I hurt you, then we'll deal with it. But Damian, she pulled back to look at him. I'm not fragile. I can handle you at your worst. I've been doing it for 3 months. That surprised a laugh out of him, genuine and warm. You really have, haven't you? Someone had to challenge the Ice King. And melt him completely, Damian murmured, then kissed her with devastating tenderness. Keeping their relationship secret proved harder than either expected. At work, they maintained professional distance. No lingering looks. No casual touches. But the awareness was always there, simmering beneath the surface. The idyllic presentation is next week, Damian said during a staff meeting, his voice completely neutral. Miss Okafor will be leading it. I expect everyone to support her preparation. Amara nodded professionally, ignoring the way her body responded to his voice. Thank you, Mr. Cole. I'm confident we'll exceed expectations. Their eyes met for a fraction of a second, long enough for electricity to pass between them. Then both looked away. Later, Tund cornered her. Okay, seriously. What happened between you two? What do you mean? The tension is different now. It's not hostile anymore. He struggled for words. I don't know. Charged? Everyone's noticed. You're imagining things. Am I? Tund's eyes narrowed. Wait. Oh my God. You didn't. Did you? I have no idea what you're talking about. Amara gathered her files. And I have work to do. She fled before he could ask more questions. While days were professional torture, nights were theirs. Amara would leave the office at normal hours. Then an hour later, she'd receive a text. Damian, my place. Now. Or sometimes. Damian, I'm sending a car. Pack an overnight bag. She'd arrive at his penthouse to find candles lit, dinner waiting, and Damian watching her like she was the only thing that mattered. Tell me about your day, he'd say, genuinely interested. They'd talk for hours, about work, about dreams, about fears neither had shared with anyone else. Then he'd carry her to bed, and words would become unnecessary. Amara woke up feeling nauseous. At first, she blamed it on stress. The idyllic presentation was in 2 days. She'd been working 16-hour days. But when the nausea persisted for 3 mornings straight, accompanied by exhaustion and tender breasts, a terrifying possibility occurred to her. She bought a pregnancy test on her lunch break, hands shaking. It's probably nothing, she told herself. Stress. Exhaustion. Bad food. The test disagreed. Positive. Amara stared at the 2 pink lines, her mind blank with shock. Pregnant. She was pregnant with Damian Cole's baby. She couldn't tell him at work. Couldn't risk anyone overhearing. That night, when he texted her to come over, she almost declined. Almost ran away. But she'd never been a coward. Damian opened the door with a smile that faded the moment he saw her face. What's wrong? We need to talk. Those 4 words had never sounded more ominous. He led her inside, his body tense. Did someone find out about us? Is this about work? Did I? I'm pregnant. Silence. Damian stared at her like she'd spoken a foreign language. His face went through several emotions in rapid succession. Shock, confusion, fear. Before settling on something unreadable. You're pregnant, he repeated slowly. Yes. With my child. Unless you know of another man I've been with, then yes, it's yours. More silence. Damian sank onto the couch, his hands gripping his knees. Amara's heart cracked. If you want me to, if you don't want this. I can. Don't. His voice was sharp. Don't finish that sentence. He stood abruptly, pacing the length of the room like a caged animal. Amara watched, her own anxiety spiraling. Finally, he stopped in front of her. Are you okay? Physically, I mean. Have you seen a doctor? Not yet. I just found out today. Okay. We'll schedule an appointment. The best OBGYN in Lagos. Money's not an issue. You'll have everything you need. He was spiraling into planning mode, his brain trying to control the uncontrollable. Damian, stop. He did, looking at her with eyes that held a vulnerability she'd never seen before. What do you want? Amara asked softly. I need to know what you want. What I want. He moved closer, his hands cupping her face with heartbreaking gentleness. I want you. I want this baby. I want. His voice cracked. I want a family. Something I never thought I'd have. Something I didn't think I deserved. Tears spilled down Amara's cheeks. You deserve everything. I'm terrified, he admitted. I don't know how to be a father. My own father abandoned me. What if I? You won't. She gripped his wrists. You're nothing like him. You're demanding because you care. You're ruthless because you refuse to accept mediocrity. You'll be an incredible father. And us? What does this mean for us? I don't know, Amara said honestly. But I know I love you. And I know this baby is already loved. Damian's eyes widened. You love me? She laughed through her tears. Did you think I was sleeping with you just for your incredible penthouse? He seemed stunned. I didn't dare hope. Hope, Damian. Because I fell in love with you somewhere between you threatening to fire me and you teaching me everything you know. I love your brilliance, your passion, your hidden softness. All of it. I love you too, he said fiercely. God, Amara, I love you so much it terrifies me. He kissed her then, deep and claiming and full of promise. When they finally broke apart, he dropped to his knees, his hands gentle on her still flat stomach. Hello, little one, he whispered. I'm your father. I'm going to mess up a lot. But I promise you, I will love you and your mother with everything I have. Amara's tears fell freely as she watched this powerful, ruthless man become completely undone by the idea of their child. Marry me, Damian said suddenly, looking up at her. What? Marry me. Not because you're pregnant. Not because it's proper or expected. But because I can't imagine my life without you. Because you challenged me. Changed me. Made me believe I could be more than the Ice King. He stood, pulling her close. Marry me, Amara Okafor. Let me spend the rest of my life proving I deserve you. Yes, she whispered. Yes, yes, yes. Emergency staff meeting. Everyone filed into the conference room, murmuring speculation. Emergency meetings usually meant someone was getting fired. Amara sat in her usual spot, trying to look calm while her heart raced. They'd agreed to tell everyone together. No more secrets. Damian stood at the head of the table, his expression serious. I've called this meeting to address rumors that have been circulating. Everyone shifted uncomfortably. There have been speculations about my relationship with Miss Okafor. Amara felt every eye turned to her. Those speculations are correct, Damian continued. Amara and I are in a relationship. She's also pregnant with my child. And yesterday, I asked her to marry me. She said yes. Stunned silence. Then tons started clapping. I knew it. I knew something was happening. The room erupted. Some in applause, some in shock, some clearly uncomfortable with the revelation. Damian held up his hand. I know this raises questions about professionalism and favoritism. So, effective immediately, Amara will no longer report directly to me. She'll be transferring to our creative director, maintaining her current salary and position. This ensures no conflict of interest. He looked directly at Amara. She earned her place here through talent and hard work. That won't change. Anyone who suggests otherwise will answer to me personally. The meeting dissolved into chaos. Congratulations, questions, gossip. Amara found herself surrounded by colleagues, some genuinely happy, others clearly judging. How long has this been going on? Someone asked. Did you sleep with him to get ahead? Is the pregnancy real or convenient? Enough. Damian's voice cut through the noise like a knife. Amara has worked harder than anyone in this company. She's earned every promotion, every project, every success. Our personal relationship doesn't change that. And if anyone has a problem with it, they can leave. Now. No one moved. Meeting adjourned. Later, in her new office, Damian had insisted on the promotion being real, not just for show. Amara finally breathed. Tund appeared in her doorway. So, the Ice King has a heart after all. Turns out he does. And you melted it. Tund grinned. I'm happy for you, Amara. Truly. He's different with you. Less terrifying. Don't let him hear you say that. He has a reputation to maintain. They laughed, and Amara felt the weight on her chest ease slightly. Maybe this would work. Maybe they could have it all. Love, career, family. Maybe happy endings were possible, even for people who started as enemies. 6 months later, Amara stood in front of the mirror in the bridal suite, one hand resting on her very pregnant belly. You look beautiful, her mother said, tears streaming down her face. The wedding dress had been custom-made to accommodate her 6-month baby bump. White silk that flowed elegantly, making her look like a goddess. He's lucky to have you, her father said gruffly. Amara smiled. Her parents had been shocked by the whirlwind romance, the pregnancy, the sudden engagement. But they'd come around, especially after meeting Damian and seeing how completely devoted he was to their daughter. A knock on the door. It's time. The ceremony was small, just close friends and family. Damian had wanted to rent out the largest venue in Lagos, But Amara had insisted on something intimate. She walked down the aisle alone, her eyes locked on the man waiting for her. Damian looked devastating in his tuxedo, but it was his expression that stole her breath. Pure love, pure devotion, pure wonder that she'd chosen him. When she reached him, he took her hands, his eyes glistening with unshed tears. "You're the most beautiful thing I've ever seen," he whispered. "Even with the baby bump?" "Especially with the baby bump." His hand covered her stomach. "You're carrying our future. There's nothing more beautiful than that." The ceremony passed in a blur. Vows that made them both cry. Rings exchanged with trembling hands. And finally, "You may kiss your bride." Damian kissed her with everything he had, love, promise, forever. When they broke apart, both breathless and grinning, the room erupted in applause. "Speech! Speech!" the guests chanted. Damian stood, pulling Amara up with him. "Most of you know me as Ruthless. Cold. The Ice King who fires everyone and shows no mercy." Nervous laughter rippled through the crowd. "But this woman," he looked at Amara, his expression soft. "This incredible, stubborn, brilliant woman saw past all of that. She challenged me, refused to quit, demanded I see her as an equal. And somewhere along the way, she made me realize I'd been dead inside for years. She brought me back to life." Amara's eyes filled with tears. "I told her she'd be fired within a week. 3 months later, she was pregnant with my baby. Now, 6 months after that, she's my wife, my partner, and the reason I smile every single day." He raised his glass. "To Amara, the only person who ever had the courage to challenge the Ice King and win." "To Amara," everyone chorused. Amara stood, wiping her tears. "I should probably say something too, since my husband just made me cry in front of everyone." Laughter. "When I walked into Damian's office on my first day, I thought I'd made the biggest mistake of my life. He was terrifying. Impossible. He gave me 1 week to prove myself, and I was convinced I'd fail." She looked at him, her voice softening. "But he taught me something important, that the people who push us hardest are often the ones who believe in us most. He never went easy on me, never gave me anything I didn't earn. And because of that, I became better than I ever thought possible." She took his hand. "He's demanding because he cares. He's ruthless because he refuses to settle. And underneath all that ice is the warmest heart I've ever known. So here's to my husband, the man who said I'd be fired in a week and instead made me his forever." The room erupted in applause and tears. As they sat back down, Damian leaned close, his lips brushing her ear. "I love you, Mrs. Cole." "I love you too, Mr. Cole." She paused, a mischievous smile on her lips. "Though you're still an impossible boss. And you're still the only person brave enough to challenge me." His hand covered her belly. "Our child is going to be absolutely terrifying, isn't it? Your stubbornness combined with my intensity." "Absolutely." Amara laughed. "The world doesn't stand a chance." Damian carried Amara over the threshold despite her protests about her weight. "You're pregnant, not made of lead," he said, setting her gently on the massive bed. "And I've been waiting all day to get you alone." "Damian, I'm 6 months pregnant. I'm huge. I can barely see my feet." He silenced her with a kiss. When he pulled back, his eyes were dark with desire. "You're carrying my child. You've never been more beautiful to me. You have to say that. You're my husband now. I'm saying it because it's true." His hands were gentle as they found the zipper of her dress. "Let me show you." We can't do what we did before," Amara said, suddenly shy. "The doctor said we need to be careful, and with the baby." "I know." Damian's voice was infinitely tender. "We'll be careful. Gentle. I just need to touch you, Amara. Need to show you how much I love you. Every part of you." And he did. His hands were reverent as he undressed her, his lips following the path of his fingers. He worshipped every curve, every change pregnancy had brought to her body. "You're glowing," he murmured against her skin. "Absolutely radiant." When they finally came together, it was slow and tender, and nothing like the explosive passion of their first night. This was different. Deeper. A joining of souls, not just bodies. Afterward, they lay tangled together, Damian's hand resting protectively on her belly. "He's kicking," Amara said softly. Damian's face lit up with wonder. It's going to be a girl. I'm sure of it." "You want a girl?" "I want a daughter who looks exactly like you. Who has your fire, your brilliance, your ability to see past surfaces to the truth underneath." He kissed her forehead. "Though God help me when she starts dating. I'll terrify every boy who comes near her." Amara laughed. You'll be a wonderful father. I'll try. His voice grew serious. I'm still scared, that I'll mess this up, that I won't be enough. You'll be more than enough. She turned to face him. And you won't be doing it alone. We're a team now, remember? You and me against the world. You and me, he echoed, pulling her close. Forever. Amara's water broke during a board meeting. She was presenting a new marketing strategy when she felt the first contraction. Then warmth spreading down her legs. Oh, she said, looking down. Oh no. Damian was on his feet instantly. Everyone out. Meeting's over. Now. The board members scattered like frightened birds. It's too early, Amara gasped, gripping his arm. The baby's not due for 2 more weeks. I haven't finished the nursery. I don't have the hospital bag. Breathe, Damian commanded, his voice steady even though his hands shook as he helped her to a chair. The bag is in my car. Has been for 3 weeks because I'm prepared. The nursery is perfect. And babies come when they want to come. Another contraction hit, stronger this time. Amara cried out. Okay, we're going. Now. He scooped her up, ignoring her protests about being able to walk. Someone call the hospital. Tell them we're on our way. And someone else call her parents. The ride to the hospital was a blur of contractions and Damian's steady voice talking her through breathing exercises. You've got this, he kept saying. You're the strongest person I know. You survived me at my worst. You can survive this. This is different, Amara panted. This hurts. I know, baby. I know. We're almost there. Labor was brutal. Amara had always thought she was tough. She'd survived Damian Cole's impossible standards, after all. But nothing prepared her for this. I can't do this, she sobbed after hour 10. I can't. It's too much. Yes, you can. Damian was beside her, had been for every single second. His hand was probably broken from how hard she'd been squeezing it, but he didn't complain. You're the woman who walked into my office and refused to be intimidated. You're the woman who challenged me every single day. You can do anything. I hate you, she gasped. I know. This is your fault. I know. If you ever try to touch me again, I will. Another contraction cut off her threat. The doctor checked her progress. You're fully dilated. It's time to push. What followed was the hardest thing Amara had ever done. Pushing. Breathing. Screaming. Damian's voice in her ear, constant and steady, telling her how strong she was, how proud he was, how much he loved her. And then, a cry. Loud and indignant and absolutely perfect. It's a girl, the doctor announced. Amara collapsed back against the pillows, exhausted and overwhelmed. The doctor placed a tiny, squirming bundle on her chest. Her daughter. Small and red and absolutely beautiful. Oh, Amara breathed, tears streaming down her face. Oh, hello. The baby stopped crying at her voice, dark eyes blinking open to stare at her mother. She knows you, Damian said, his voice choked with emotion. He touched the baby's tiny hand with one finger, and she immediately gripped it. She knows her mother's voice. He was crying. The Ice King, the ruthless CEO who never showed emotion, had tears running down his face. We made her, Amara whispered in wonder. We made her, Damian agreed. She's perfect. You're perfect. I don't. His voice broke. I don't have words for what I'm feeling right now. Me neither. They sat in odd silence, staring at their daughter, until the nurse gently reminded them she needed to be checked and cleaned. Amara's parents arrived, followed by a stream of colleagues and friends. Everyone wanted to meet the baby. What's her name? Amara's mother asked. Amara looked at Damian. They'd debated names for months, but never quite agreed. Zara, Damian said softly, looking at his daughter. It means princess. Because she's already ruling my heart. Zara Grace Cole, Amara added. Grace for how unexpectedly she came into our lives. Perfect, her mother sniffled, wiping tears. She's absolutely perfect. After everyone left, after Zara had been fed and changed, and was sleeping peacefully in her bassinet, Damian and Amara finally had a moment alone. How are you feeling? He asked, sitting carefully on the edge of her bed. Like I got hit by a truck. Amara smiled tiredly. But also complete. Does that make sense? Perfect sense. He took her hand, bringing it to his lips. You were incredible today. Watching you bring our daughter into the world. Amara, I've never been more in awe of anyone in my entire life. I couldn't have done it without you. Yes, you could have. But I'm grateful I got to be there. He glanced at their sleeping daughter. I never knew I could love someone this much. Both of you. It's terrifying. Welcome to parenthood. where everything is terrifying and wonderful simultaneously. Damian laughed softly. I spent 32 years building an empire, conquering markets, destroying competition, and none of it compares to this. To her. To you. This is what success actually looks like. The Ice King has truly melted, Amara teased gently. Completely. He kissed her forehead. And I wouldn't have it any other way. The company was celebrating its 10th anniversary with a massive gala. The who's who of Nigerian business filled the ballroom. Amara stood near the windows, watching Damian work the room. Even after everything, marriage, baby, their very public relationship, he was still commanding. Still powerful. But different now. Softer around the edges. More likely to smile. Less likely to make grown men cry in meetings, though it still happened occasionally. Mrs. Cole. Tund appeared beside her with champagne. Or should I say, Creative Director Cole? Amara had kept her position, earned 2 more promotions based solely on merit, and was now one of the youngest creative directors in the industry. How's Zara? Tund asked. Terrorizing her nanny, probably. She learned to walk last week, and now thinks she's unstoppable. Like mother, like daughter. They laughed, watching as Damian finished his conversation and immediately scanned the room. His eyes found Amara instantly, as they always did, and his entire face softened. He crossed to her, ignoring everyone trying to catch his attention, and pulled her close. Dance with me, he murmured. There's no music yet. I don't care. He led her to the dance floor, and as if on cue, the band started playing. Other couples joined them, but Amara only saw Damian. Happy, he asked. Deliriously. Good. He pulled her closer, his lips near her ear. Because I have news. What kind of news? The board wants to expand. Open offices in London, New York, Dubai. Amara pulled back to look at him. That's amazing. Damian, that's. I told them no. She froze. What? Why? Because it would mean constant travel. Time away from you and Zara. And I've realized something this past year. His hand cupped her face. I already built an empire. But you and our daughter? That's the kingdom I care about protecting now. Tears filled Amara's eyes. You're turning down the opportunity of a lifetime? No. I'm choosing my life. The one that matters. The one I never knew I wanted until you forced your way into my office and refused to quit. Damian. Besides, he smirked, I have a better idea. What if we expand the company together? You as full partner. Equal decision-making. We could build the international offices, but do it our way. Together. You want me as your business partner? I want you as my everything partner. Wife. Mother of my children. Children plural? Amara raised an eyebrow. Zara needs a sibling. Or 3. His eyes darkened with familiar heat. Which means we should probably start trying soon. Damian Cole, are you propositioning me at a work event? Always. He dipped her dramatically, making her laugh. Is it working? Maybe. Depends. On whether you remember that tomorrow is Saturday, Zara's with your mother, and we have the entire day to ourselves. Damian's smile turned wicked. Oh, I remember. I've had it scheduled in my calendar for weeks. With reminders. And a detailed itinerary of everything I plan to do to you. You made an itinerary? I'm a CEO. I plan everything. He pulled her upright, his lips brushing hers. Especially the things that make my wife unable to walk. Amara laughed against his mouth. You're impossible. And you love it. I do, she admitted. God help me, I really do. They swayed together as the music swelled, surrounded by the company they'd built, the life they'd created, the future that stretched ahead of them filled with possibility. Hey, Damian? Amara said softly. Yes, thank you. For what? For not firing me in that first week. He pulled back to look at her, his eyes full of love and laughter. Thank you for not quitting. For challenging me. For seeing past the Ice King to the man underneath. For giving me everything I didn't know I was missing. We gave it to each other. Yeah, he agreed, kissing her softly. We did. They checked on Zara together, watching their daughter sleep peacefully in her crib. She's getting so big, Amara whispered. She has your determination. This morning she tried to climb out of her crib 5 times. Failed 5 times. Tried a 6th time anyway. And your stubbornness. Poor child never stood a chance. Damian wrapped his arms around Amara from behind. But she'll be incredible. Just like her mother. They stood there in the quiet darkness, watching their daughter breathe, marveling at the life they'd created together. You know what I was thinking? Amara said. What? About that first day. When you told me I'd be fired in a week. If someone had told me then that a year and a half later, I'd be married to you, have your baby, and be your business partner, I would have thought they were insane. So would I, Damian admitted. I thought I had my life figured out. Success. Power. Control. I thought that was enough. And now I know I was just existing. Not living. He turned her to face him. You taught me the difference, Amara. You taught me that real success isn't about how much money you make or how many companies you destroy. It's about who you come home to, who makes you laugh, who challenges you to be better, who loves you despite your flaws. Or because of them, Amara corrected softly. Or because of them. He kissed her, slow and deep and full of promise. I love you. More than I thought it was possible to love anyone. I love you too. My impossible, demanding, secretly soft ice king. Not so icy anymore. No, Amara agreed, smiling against his lips. Not anymore. You melted. And I'm keeping you exactly like this. Good. Because I'm not going anywhere. Ever. He lifted her into his arms, making her squeal softly. Damian. You'll wake Zara. She sleeps through everything. Just like her mother after I. Don't finish that sentence, Amara warned, laughing. Fine. But I'm going to finish other things. He carried her toward their bedroom, his smile pure mischief. Remember that itinerary I mentioned? Vaguely. Let me refresh your memory. In detail. Multiple times. Until you can't remember your own name, let alone walk. Is that a threat or a promise? Both. And as he kicked the bedroom door closed behind them, Amara thought about how far they'd come. From enemies to lovers. From boss and employee to partners in everything. From two broken people building walls to a family tearing them down. She thought about that first day, standing in his office, terrified and determined. She thought about the late nights, the challenges, the slowly building connection. She thought about the moment everything changed. When hatred became heat. When resistance became surrender. And she thought about tomorrow and the day after, and all the days stretching ahead of them filled with laughter and love, and probably a few more impossible deadlines, because Damian would always be Damian. But most of all, she thought about how grateful she was that she hadn't quit. That she'd stayed. Fought. Challenged him. Loved him. Because some things are worth fighting for. And Damian Cole, ruthless CEO, Ice King, impossible boss, devoted husband, amazing father, had been worth every single battle. The end. Did Damian and Amara's story make your heart race? Like if you loved watching the Ice King melt for his queen. Comment your favorite moment. The first kiss in the gym? When he proposed after finding out about the baby? The birth scene? Or that opening scene where she couldn't walk? Subscribe for more passionate office romances, enemies to lovers stories, and love that makes you believe in happy endings. Share with someone who loves boss/employee romance with real emotional depth. Drop Ice King Melted in the comments if you watched till the end. Thanks for watching. Kisses.